Hi everybody, Joel Mills here with the Ringside Banter podcast, episode 4. Excited to be here, guys. It's been a ton of fun telling you guys about my career and what boxing has meant to me throughout. It's been a ton of fun talking to my dad, my big motivation in the fight game, and talking about the stories and just the fight game in general. Happy to be on here with Nick Felber tonight. Nick is a professional MMA fighter, a very, very talented fighter. I've been very impressed with him. I've been training him for a couple months now. Huge bomb of a right hand, and I know that if he gets the right fights at the right times, he's going to go a long ways. Co-host, get up here, say hi to everybody, all your fans.
What's going on, brother? Nice to be here with you. As always, stoked to chat with you, and obviously get to bring Nick up right away. But I'm stoked to be doing this. Obviously, we got your new website going, and it's fun. I just watched Nick battle it out. I think in Ontario BTC he had a fight a couple months ago. It was a hell of a battle.
What a scrap.
Stoked to hear about that. But obviously, Nick's out of Lethbridge. A war vet himself, a cancer survivor, a pro MMA fighter, and I'm really excited to hear you guys' conversation tonight. So thanks for having me with you as always to do the show, Joel.
You bet, brother.
I may be a fool with my money, but don't call me broke. I may act funny on occasions, but I ain't no joke. I can drink a bottle of whiskey down and start a fight or two. I ain't George Foreman or Ali, but I've won a few. You know. I'm a truck driving, Harley riding son of a gun. Loud country music bumping, come and have you some fun. Deer hunting, beer guzzling, boot wearing Southern man. I don't give a damn.
Nick, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. I appreciate you being here, man. It's one of the first times I get to interview one of my fighters in the pro ranks. I've interviewed a couple of my fighters coming up through the amateurs, but to interview you as a professional, man, it's going to be an interesting conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I know I watched a few of his fights, make sure I got up to speed, and you talk highly of him, and I know you guys have been training a bit at your new spot there in Ep4, so I'm excited to see it. But the fight I seen you going at there with BTC, that was a hell of a battle. It was a bloody war. You guys fought it right up to a decision there, and I know I'm sure you guys have chatted about that. I'm like, oh man, we're talking to a beast of a man here.
Oh man, I tell you what, like, there's very few people that I get my hands on where I think, this is the whole ball of wax, and Nick Felber is that guy. Like, if we could get you the right fights, man, you're gonna go all the way to the top.
That's the goal.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, when you first stepped into the gym, it was what, 3-4 months ago now.
Yeah.
You had just moved from where did you come in from, Nick?
I was up in Edmonton for the last 5 years, so I moved down to Lethbridge mid-February of 2023.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you moved down here purely in following your MMA career?
Yeah. I especially during COVID, I loved the way Lee Main ran his gym. I think everybody did. You know, he didn't shut down. And through, Lee is just a legend of the sport. They've created quite a few UFC fighters now from this gym. But just seeing Lee's mentality and how he is and how he runs his fighters and his gym, everything about him and everything about this gym is just, it screamed home to me. And then when I moved here, just reassured all of it. I was right at home. The guys treated me great. And it was definitely the best decision I've made in my life.
Yeah. The CMC Martial Arts Center is a great center with great people. Lee's been huge. He's been pivotal in my career and my development. And same thing, we get each other, right? And that's the thing with me and you, and that's why I do speak so highly of you, Nick. Very few times do I meet somebody where it's like, okay, I resonate. Like we get it. We get the same, mentality. And that was Lee Main for me as well. Lee is, when it comes to the warrior spirit, he embodies it.
He is that, man. 56 years old and he's still scrapping.
Oh, man.
You're not gonna find anyone else doing that, especially at heavyweight. You're not gonna find anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, they broke the mold when they made him, man. They've been pumped to have you there because he trained some of the toughest guys in Southern Alberta, if not in the province.
For sure.
And I mean, in nationwide in the country. Mm-hmm. But those boys, they like to train hard. They like to spar hard, and they all got pretty hard-nosed mentality. So I'm sure they were pumped to have you.
Oh yeah, it's Hard Knocks gym for sure, man.
Yeah, that's how I came up too, man.
Yeah, the old school mentality, right?
That's right. Yeah. And that was one thing when we did our first mid session. I was like, okay, this guy can crack. He can crack good, and then we got to get in that distance on that jab on your back foot and kind of staying lean back a bit and just torquing that right hand through your legs. And I was like, all we got to do is find that thing.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to have to do is just every strategy you have is just to find that big right hand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nick, tell me, I really, like in the brief time we've been friends and we've known each other, I haven't learned a ton about your amateur career. So how'd you find the sport? How'd you find yourself here?
Yeah, so I started training when I was 17. I'm originally from Calgary, so my first MMA gym was independent MMA in Calgary, and back in the day, they were kind of one of the Hard Knocks gyms at Calgary. They had Smelino Rama, who was like the number 1 heavyweight in Canada at the time. They had a bunch of very high level boxers. They had Vlad Goldstein there and a bunch of really good, very talented fighters at that gym. I found that gym February of, forget the year. I was 17 though. I think that was like 2013 or 2012, long time ago. But first day I went in there, right? I didn't really know what to expect. And I had to lie because you have to you have to be 18 to actually sign up at one of those gyms. So I tried to lie when I signed up for it because I didn't know how my mom was going to take it. Yeah. But then I just went home because my coach at the time, Frenchie, was just like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, 18. He's like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "I'm not." So I went home and I looked at my mom. I was like, "Can you sign me up at this MMA gym?" And she was like, "Absolutely." I was like, I didn't expect that at all.
Oh, so, that's sweet, eh?
Yeah, it was good. And then, yeah, it was a hard gym, man. I learned right away how the system works and to check the ego at the door, because those guys, especially, they were unique, right? They were that old school way, and you know, just they were hard hitters too, man. It was a great gym. It was a really good gym. Yeah. And then it shut down a couple of years later, but I kept training with Frenchie. I had my first amateur MMA fight. I think it was like May or June of 2015. I fought a guy from Dynamic MMA up in Calgary, and he was a wrestler. I was a kickboxer. And I got choked out, I think, in like 30 seconds. I wasn't a grappler at this point. I had no wrestling, no jits. And
just set of nuts in a heart, eh?
Just 7 nuts in a heart, just a scrapper, just wanting to punch people in the face and not really understanding the whole grappling thing yet, right? And then I fought in Worlds for Kickboxing a couple months after that down in Florida. So that was tournament style, round robin type thing. And then I had some other fights booked for the end of that year, but I had some personal stuff happen. And then I ended up signing up for the Army in December of that year. So December of 2015.
Oh, and so then, you started training before you signed up?
Yeah. I was training for a while before that. And then it took me like a year and a half to actually get into the military because I'm dual citizen with Switzerland through my dad. So it took me a little longer, and I wasn't really fighting while I was actually in the process of getting in. So I was mostly just training and working through that time. So I stopped competing. And then when I joined the Army, I was in Quebec and Ontario for, I think, just over a year and a half. And then I transferred to the base in Edmonton to be with PPCLI. And that's where I started training with Shea Bears MMA. So they're like, especially over the last like 10 years, they're probably like one of the most significant MMA teams in Alberta. You know, they had Tanner Boser, UFC heavyweight, you know, like animals like Graham Park and all these other guys. Graham was infantry. He was military like me. Just a lot of like hard-nosed boys, man, that like to scrap. So I trained with them for a couple years, and then was at a few other gyms too, training throughout Edmonton. Then I did everything I got out of the Army and I started working just civilian jobs, trying to get back to a place where I could fight. Because in the military, it's a little hard to fight. They make it seem like they're all about it. They're like, that's great. Like, we want these hard knocks, like in the military. But as soon as I wanted to do my own training, they weren't really for it. So I had to go out and do my own thing. Yeah. But once I got out, I started training again. And then I had a fight booked for December of 2019. And I was supposed to fight at a couple weight classes lower than I am now. I got big over the last few years, but November of 2019, I blew out my SI joint in my hip, and I couldn't walk. Yeah, and then I kept training on it, and then I ended up getting shingles and shit, and had a bunch of crap happen. So that was wild. And then January of 2020 rolled around. I took a fight for Unified and did my training camp. Day one of training camp, I blew out my right shoulder. I did all camp with just basically like 1.5 legs and one arm. Oh, and man. Yeah, but I was ready to go. Despite like the injury, I was in amazing shape. Had actually a pretty good camp. And then I was like putting on my sauna suit. I cut major weight for that fight too. diet wise. And then 2 days before the fight, or so the night before weigh-ins, I was putting on my sauna suit to cut weight, and that's when we got the announcement for no events because of COVID.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it was like just everything was going wrong.
Yeah.
Everything was going wrong.
Unbelievable.
And then
that's one of the worst feelings in the world, going through a training with injuries, and then having to man up and step in that ring, even though you're hurt and you're not 100%. Like as a fighter, it's something we know we must do at some point. It's got to happen. But man, that's a brutal feeling, man. And then to have it be canceled on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so COVID obviously happened, and then it was just work and train, just hoping for fights to come back. And then finally in the spring of 2021, fights came back, and then I was supposed to fight on Unified, and then something happened with that card. So I got shifted to the BTC card in Edmonton. And that's where I got that big knockout in the summer there. And then, so career was restarted, came back in a pretty good way, got a good knockout. And then I booked my third amateur fight for December for Unified MMA. And then I did my medical checkup in October. And that's when they found my lump for my tumor. So at the time we didn't know it was like a tumor or cancerous or anything. It was just a lump, and I thought it was probably a cyst, just a normal skin cyst or something. So the doctor was like, we got to cut it out. And I'm like, well, after the fight, I want to fight first, and then we'll do that.
I had no idea, Nick, that all of these things in your life were so condensed, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So even looking back now, I still go, holy shit, what a fucking timeline, man. It's just like, it was an interesting roller coaster and still continues to be. But yeah,
found the tumor.
Yeah. And then still did camp, was fine. Didn't even think about the lump at the time. And then did the fight, won the fight, and did it in a great fashion. People were like, okay, Nick's legit now. And then I was like, after that fight, I was trained enough that I was like, I want to go professional. I was at that point, especially after COVID, that I just wanted to be competing at the professional level. So announced I was going pro. And then at the start of January, we had the first surgery. It was a quick one, just kind of cut out the lump and see what it is. And it was just like, I stayed awake, and it was like 20, 30 minutes kind of thing. And then the biopsy came back a few weeks later, and they were like, there's some unsuspecting things. And then basically that's where that entire process started.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So then it took how long for you to get through all that, Nick, and get back on your feet after finding that out?
I had my first quick little surgery in January. I had this second surgery in, I think it was March or April. And then when they did that one, I thought it was kind of going to be done after that. I actually was, after the second surgery was done, I actually took a fight. I think it was for the end of May for BFL or something. I was trying to get it.
How do you not love this guy? How do you not love this guy?
Yeah. After like the first little surgery, I was in the gym the next day training like a dumbass. And then even after the second surgery, I think I rested for like a day. If that, I think I was in the gym the next day training. So just working around it, and I was taking a fight, just like praying to God I could just get back to it. And then, I think it was like 5 days after the second one, I was at the gym, and I was on a bench press. It was at, I think it was like a Good Life or something. And the nurse calls me, and she's like, hey, so we didn't get it all, and we found some unknown cells. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, we have no idea what it is. And I'm like shit.
Jeez.
So
just like no
answer,
just even you hang it, right?
Yeah, they knew it was probably cancerous. They said the cells were very active, but the actual, so they know now it was a sarcoma, but the actual fusion protein was completely unique to me. It was something they'd never seen before, so that was pretty big. That was probably the most nerve-wracking part about it, is they didn't really have a straight answer for me to be like, this is what it is, like this is the percentages or anything. It was just completely unknown. And then so that was a pretty rough day. And then obviously everything just kept transpiring. And then I had my third surgery in June, and that was a Mohs surgery. So they essentially, what they do is they cut your flesh open, and they keep taking chunks of your flesh and they put it under this like special scanner, and they basically follow the cancer cells as it goes into you. So they basically follow it till they think they've cut it all out. And that was just over a 9-hour surgery, like 9.5 hours. And I was awake for it all day, sitting on a table. So they cut me open at like 8 a.m, and I was on the table all day. And then at the end of the day, after the second incision, or like when they start digging, I was like standing, and I could actually move around, which was even weird because they were doing local anesthesia on it. And then I got out of the bed and I started walking around, and one of my arteries went, and I started just fucking shooting blood. And I just felt it pouring down my leg, and I like looked down and I'm like, holy shit. And I hit the emergency button, and the nurse like ran in, and she's just like, oh shit. And I'm like, what, is it bad? And she's like, you're not allowed to panic till I start panicking. And I'm like, you look like you're fucking panicking. She's like, it's fine, it's gonna be fine. And then she pulls out this, like, it's like one of those, like, it reminded me like of like warfare, like medical shit, like a clamper for your artery or whatever. She's like, yeah, man, it was, she clamped it. And man, I try to like explain it to people, but even like with local anesthesia, it was pretty worn out at that point because they did it like a few hours before that. So I felt like a lot of the pain and the pressure from that. And man, it felt like 10,000 pounds of pressure, but like on a very small piece of your flesh. It was such a weird feeling, so painful.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I have so many questions about that. Like, so when all this went down and they clamped you, like what's going through your mind? Are you like,
man, I think I was just like completely disassociating from the situation. I was just like, what the fuck is going on with life at this point? I'm like, this is wild.
Which is why when you're leaking from the head in the fight, you could still scream and right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, stuff you're not in control of any of it, right? Like it's all in someone else's hands. So it's almost like it's so much scarier, right? Where you're in that situation, it's all in someone else's hands. And something cancer like that, it affects so many people, and sorry you had to go through that, but it's like you're just a warrior coming through all that. Like, that's such a crazy story to have it, like Joel said, in such a condensed period of time. Like, were you going through the cancer stuff during COVID, or was that at least on the other side of that? Like that wouldn't have been funded in the hospital alone, right?
Yeah, no, it was after, like, COVID was kind of like, COVID was on the tail end of it. Like in mid 2021, that's when stuff like kind of came back to normal. So like all of 2022, I didn't have any like kind of crossover from that, which was made it a little better, I guess.
Yeah, it's not like it's any big game changing factor, but no, that would be crazy. So like just like they clamp your leg and it's just like immediately back into surgery to restitch up the artery. Like that would have been the artery they went in through the surgery to do the surgery with, I assume.
Yeah, so they clamped, and then as soon as they clamped, I think I was resting for like an hour after that, and then they came in, and essentially like it was a giant hole, just a big ass hole, and then to stitch it back up, they actually have to cut like a triangle on each side of the circle so they can actually like stitch it back together. So they came in for the third time, and then they just cut out extra flesh so that they can actually stitch it all back up. So they ended up taking like, it was pretty big. It was like probably like that much flesh.
Jeez.
It was good.
So,
yeah.
Let me ask you, Nick.
I'm late on the view change. I tried.
In your fighting life and in your fighting experience, you know the mindset that you usually have when you go into a fight, whether that's, some guys really make it a point to stay calm and stay relaxed, right? Some guys, they like to get a little jacked up and get a little twitchy. And some guys like to let themselves go completely. From where you're at now in your career, Nick, and the mindset you go into the ring with, were you always that way, or do you credit some of it to the experiences that you had to go through in that time frame?
For me, it's all the experience. I look back at who I was when I started this sport, and I was not a fighter. Mm-hmm. Not like you. I think a lot of people label themselves as fighters, but granted, I was doing the things, and I was trying to get better.
You had it here, right?
Yeah, just when I try to like explain it to people, like just the military training I went through, and just some of the like life experiences I had while going through the military training. Like I had a coach commit suicide while I was in basic training. I lost a family member while I was just in battle school. I didn't get to go to funerals of loved ones. And I missed like pretty critical events in my life, which like that shifted a lot of my mentality and made me just look at things differently. And before the cancer, like when I was doing those amateur fights, like I look at who I was then, and I was already a machine mentally. Like I was ready to go, like, and ready to fight, ready to take on anyone. I had that soldier mentality, one step at a time. Let's just fucking do this. Mm-hmm. After going through all that shit in 2022, now it's like, I fucking wouldn't want to fight me. Mm-hmm. Because I don't give a piss. Like even in the, like, man, when I had my pro debut for Rumble in the Cage back in 2023, when I first moved to Lethbridge, I had my final surgery for my tumor in December. It was December 28th of 2022. So I moved here a month and a half after that final operation, and that final surgery was my biggest one. That's where they took all the fascia from my glute. They took the upper half of my glute, all the fascia and muscle. It was a huge surgery. Mm-hmm. I was in the gym 2 weeks after that. I wasn't supposed to be training for at least 6 to 8 weeks after that surgery. And that's just upper body. But I was back like in the gym, lifting heavy, especially upper body, 2 weeks after that surgery, and moved here in mid-February. And by April, I had already taken the fight. And then when I went and did all my medicals for that fight, it was mid-June. I got my blood work done, and then I was showing signs of melanoma. So my doctor was like, this could potentially be a thing. And I'm like, oh, great. So I went into my pro debut with a fucking cancer scare, not really fucking knowing where the next thing was going to go. At that point, I was like, you know what? If I get to do this one more time, I just want to do it. I want to just get into the cage, and I want to be a fighter at least one more time. So I try to like tell people, you know, like, especially now looking back on that, it's stupid. I should have never done that, but it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Yeah. You know, I got fucking head kicked so hard by that Mexican dude, flat on my ass, you know, and like I can sit there and say whatever. Everyone makes excuses, but I fucking my headspace was so fucked up from that like that cancer scare, bro. And and I was in great shape. I had a great camp. Everything was great. But like mentally, if you're not there, it's gonna be a fucking roller coaster for me.
Well, you know, like I got KO'd my pro debut, same thing, and I was in the same space in my head, dealing with things that are like tiny and minuscule compared to what you were dealing with, and I couldn't perform. I mean, that's if you're not right up here going into the ring, then it's incapacitating, right?
Yeah. And it feels like your body's there, you feel like you're there, but like you just can't make that connection. And you don't like, even I tell people like, I'm happy to be in the cage. Like anytime I'm in there, I'm fucking smiling. When I get hit in my face, I'm laughing at you, right? Like that's my fight style. That's who I am. That's my personality. When I was in there that night, like I literally just, I didn't feel myself. I was still smiling. I was still laughing. I was still Nick, but like up there, I just wasn't, right?
Yeah. And
once I was all clear from like that scare, and like I was like, okay, now it's go time. And I promised myself that like after that, and what I owe myself and where I want to go and what I want to do, I promised myself that every fight after that is just going to be an absolute blender for whoever is in there with me.
Yeah.
And I think November was a pretty good justification of that. Back in September, I was supposed to fight on Unified in Calgary, and that guy fucked up his medicals, and it was a last second thing. I got to weigh-ins, cut weight. We fucking stood off on each other, and we were at the venue that night in Calgary, and like I had all my friends and family there because it's in Calgary, right? And like everyone was so stoked to see me fight. But I sold so many tickets for that fight. And then I was in my fight kit, ready to walk out. And then the ref came in like 10 minutes before I was supposed to fight. It was like, fight's off. His eyes were still fucking dilated from his like eye exam or something, or if it was that. But yeah, so that fucking happened. And then we got that BTC fight in November. And when Lee offered me that, I knew like, he was like, it's a Niagara Top Team guy. Everyone in this community knows that Niagara Top Team is probably one of the best gyms in Canada right now. They're producing UFC fighters and some very high level guys right now. And the guy I fought was like 2-1, and it was a super high risk fight. The odds were 92-8% for him to beat me.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's sweet. That's sweet.
Oh, big underdog.
Yeah, big underdog.
If you don't mind me interjecting too, I got to watch that fight. It was a pretty, like you said, battle, and it's cool to hear your story now, because like when I'm watching it, I'm like, who is this guy? Like he is fighting like nothing can stop him. Like it's just like this guy in front of him is like just something he's got to march right through, it seemed like, right? And like, it was a battle. I think it was, I forget his first name, but Demont was who you fought, right? And yeah. It was a hell of a battle. The first round, I felt like you kind of got the better of him a little bit. The second round, he caught you with a few good knees, and you like wore them, and I was like, okay, like this dude's for real. Like I don't think he's going down no matter what hits him this whole fight. It's really cool to kind of hear the story, and it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like he's just the walking machine with nothing can stop you. That fight.
Yeah, that fight was wild. It was wild. My ear was exploded a bit before the fight, so like I knew my ear was gonna turn to an avocado as soon as he touched it, right? And in the first round, he threw a couple check left hooks, and I felt my ear just explode up, right? I felt it like it was the weirdest feeling. It felt like blood was pouring out of the side of my head. So I didn't know if my ear actually exploded or not, but it was just filling with fluid, right? Like just expanding while I was in the fight. And then
at the end of like the second round, there's a clip, like a shot of you and your ear.
it was just, it was out to the side. Yeah.
That's cool. You mentioned that because I was like, was that just like cauliflower ear? Because that looks like it was massively like swollen and painful.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then in the second round, I jabbed upstairs and I think I was trying to throw a right straight to his body or something. I level changed and I just dipped my head a bit too much and I felt it's just like a flash, right? Like a very like painful flash, but I felt like I knew he fucking connected the knee and I like lifted up and I just remember I was blind in my right eye. I couldn't see out of my right eye for about like 4 or 5 seconds. I put my hands back up and I had no idea if my eye was hanging out. I didn't know if I was just blind. Like I was like, holy shit. And he was just staring at me and I was just staring at him. So I think he was just admiring his work because he split my orbital bone open. So I was like, holy shit. And then finally my vision came back and I was like, fuck it, send it. And I just started whipping at him. And then he cracked me with like 2 more knees within, I think he cracked me with 3 knees within like 30 seconds. And even the first one was for sure the fucking worst. And then the commentators even were like, holy shit, he just ate 3 knees to the face within 30 seconds. Because like most dudes are fucking going down after 1.
Oh like, yeah, man. Especially you don't see it coming, like if it is a flash like that.
Oh yeah. And most guys, like especially if you think you're going blind in your eye, most guys are just saying, fuck that, I'm out. But you got to do a little more. You got to do a little more than that to me to actually tell me to stop. You know.
Yeah. Right, though, it was an awesome battle. Like the ground could, like, you guys had pretty good defense too. There was nobody really going to the ground for a whole lot. It was just a lot of just back and forth and pounding on each other. It was a spectacle for sure. Yeah, no, it was a super fun fight. And then, in the second round there, I got him on the ground. And then the third round, it was same thing. But like in the third round, you could just tell we were both just fucking dead. Like to keep that pace for 3 5-minute rounds, everyone in the crowd was just like coming up to me afterwards. And they're like, man, for you to keep that pace for 3 5s is crazy. Cause it was constant action. There wasn't like, we were never disengaging and taking 10 or 15 seconds. It was like we were in the pit together the entire time.
It was Fight of the Year candidate, I believe, right?
Yeah, Fight of the Year nominee.
Yeah. So tell me, Nick, you're in the scrap, and you know, so many times when you're in the scrap, it's not the beautiful moment that you had pictured in your mind, but every single time, regardless of what happens in there, that fight memory is the most beautiful memory you own. So you're in the moment, you fight all 15 minutes to the decision, right? In that moment, Nick, did you think you had it? You knew you had it?
When the ref called us over and he grabbed our hands, man, I knew it was so back and forth. Like it could have gone to either of us, man. Like he was, and like, man, to weather my storm for 15 minutes, like I fucking hit hard. Like you have to be a warrior, and like that dude's like he's a warrior through and through. So like I always I give him that mad respect because like it was absolutely just a crazy war. But I just remember I put my hand on my heart and I was just like, fucking please, please. And they said my name, man, and I collapsed to the floor. Like I was like, years of fucking hard work and all the shit I went through. I fell to my knees and I was just like, holy shit. It was when I tried to like getting your hand raised, you know, like even when I was an amateur, it's the best feeling, man. Like just winning a fight's the best feeling. But that fight, winning a UFC title belt still will not compare to the way I felt getting my first pro win after all that shit.
Yeah.
That, like, for me, that was the greatest victory I will ever have in my life. And like that it was euphoric.
Yeah, that's the kind of win that'll change a person.
Yeah.
It is, and it is the most beautiful thing that I've ever been able to find in this life. I mean, outside of your family and people, right?
Yeah.
It's outside of people. It's the most beautiful experience I've ever been able to come across, because the way I look at that is, yeah, you put your whole heart, soul, everything into a battle that only you could win. It was all up to you. And meanwhile, the odds were 1,000,000 to 1 for you to come through all that and come out on the other side of that, and then go on the road and get the decision victory on the road. Like, that in itself tells you
in their backyard.
Yeah, it tells you so much, Nick, about not only what kind of fighting style you have, but what kind of presence you bring to somewhere, right? Because the judges respected every second of that fight if you got that decision on the road.
Yeah, and even at the end of the fight, famous little scene there. Jared had me I think we were on the wall and we disengaged for a sec, and I don't know if I purposely dropped my hands, but I was like, give me one good one, and he just elbowed me across my face, and I just remember I ate it and I just looked at him and I just slapped myself in the face and spat blood and just screamed as loud as I could, just barbarism, just the most barbaric roar I could just give him. Come on, let's go 2 more. Let's just keep going. Yeah. Let's see who will die for it, right? And that moment, man, that's where I was like, holy shit, the peak adrenaline there, you don't get that anywhere else. You're not gonna get that anywhere else. But that's what fans want to see too, man. They want to see they want to see that.
Not only does it make sense for you as a human, because that is in essence who you are coming out, right? That's what I love about the ring, man. That's one thing I love about the fight game. Even the fans, even the judges, even the people, and the judges don't always portray this in their hearts. You could feel it happening. It brings the honesty out of people. People, if you're at a fight and that fight takes hold of you, you become who you really are. You know what I mean? And who you really are happens to work uber well for the fight game and for the promotional game and for all of it, right? It's that makes me think to myself, Nick, the ride that you're gonna go on here is gonna be an epic journey, man. I mean, it already has been, but I think when you want something that bad and when you push on the world that hard, man, the world will break before you do, right?
Yep. And I mean, I had that FLA fight booked there in February. After that fight, I just wanted right back in there. I still had stitches in my face. I was like, no, let's take more. I want more. Hungry for it. And then 2 days before that fight, that guy backed out, ready to get on the plane in the morning. And he's like, I'm sick. And I'm like, bro, I'm the wrong guy. I'm the wrong guy to say I'm sick. I can't fight to. I don't give a fuck if you have a cold. Show up and let's go.
Yeah.
I'll show up if I'm fucking worried I'm going to die, but I'll still be there. I'll still give you that. I'll still give you, I'll still give you that time.
That's right.
I understand. It's a fucking blessing to be in there. Whether you win or lose, people man, I wish fighters understood. This is all going to end. If you could do it one more fucking time, I guarantee you'll do it one more time.
I miss it every day, Nick. Every single day. If I could, if I wasn't worried about taking too much damage and being in there for too long, I'd fight every day. It's a special thing, man. And I mean, the camaraderie and stuff, like even with opponents, that's why I always really try my best. I mean, if the situation doesn't call for it and you have to get mean, then you have to get mean. But I try my best to be as much of a gentleman as I can throughout the camp and throughout the process of the fight, because like that guy is giving you the opportunity, right? He's giving you the blessing too, and I'm gonna beat your face, and you're gonna feel some pain. But I hope you feel the same way about me, right? And at the end of the day, just like when you said how much you respect your last opponent, that's the way it should be, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I respect anyone that gets in there with me. You know, I don't shit talk online. The guy before the fight, I don't like shit talking. I don't believe in it. Doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, you're gonna get in there. That's not a way to sell a fight. A way that you sell a fight is your story. Yeah. If you have to shit talk and you have to be a fake person, if you have to be a fake person to like sell yourself to get a fight, I don't like that. I'll be as real as I fucking am till the day I die to get a fight. And at the end of the day, like when I'm in there, I speak for myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're not going to sit there and go, oh, Nick doesn't like being in there. I fucking love it. Most guys are like, you know, can't wait to get out of there. I'm like, I want to stay in there. It's fun for me. I enjoy it. I love that. I love the look in their fucking eyes when they like look across the ring and they see me and I'm smiling. Yeah. That's like my favorite feeling on earth. Because they're just like, it's like, man, even if you fucking beat my face in, you could have me in full mount and you could be raining strikes on me. I'm going to laugh at you until I go out. Yeah. I'm going to smile and enjoy it. And like, you know, even at the gym, like Michael, who trains with you and other guys, like they'll hit me and I'll just smile at them. I'll just, you know, like, it's like, okay, let's go. Right. Like it's one of those things, right? You learn to enjoy it. Right. And you know, other high level guys, other high level fighters, they talk about this. Pain is like the most real thing you're ever going to experience in your life. Mm-hmm. It is through and through the most real thing you're ever going to experience in your life. And especially in that fight with Jared, with Dumont there was a lot of pain on both of us. Like we were both just hammering each other. And there's like, it's funny, right? Like when you're in fights like that, there's like, you know, those moments. You know, those moments where you could just quit, where you're like, fuck, that was pretty bad. Most people, like in the moment, it feels like a few seconds. It's probably milliseconds, but you're like, oh, I could just drop here. Here's my way out. But it's that drive. Just keep going one step after the other. Yeah. And that's where I attribute like the whole military training to giving me an edge over most fighters. Because I'll just keep marching at you, till I'm dead, and I think that's attributed to institutionalization. That's battle school through and through. They shut down your frontal lobe while they're training you, man. They turn on the fiki part of your brain, the back lobe of your brain, which is your fuck it and kill it. That's why they call it fiki, fuck it and kill it. And that's how you think. You're like, I'm either gonna kill you or I'm gonna fuck you. So like. Pick your choice. Like here we go, right? So
that's pretty bad, man. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Very, very cool though, man. And so now, Nick, you know, moving forward, the game is get as active as you possibly can, get as many fights as you can, and get as many experiences and viewership as you can. Yeah. So what do you think, Nick, in your perfect world, what's the path forward look for you?
Man, ideally it's fight as often as possible with taking as little damage as possible. The way I fight, and you know, like Jordan said it to me the one day, he was like, your style, he's like, someone's going to the fucking hospital. whether it's you or them, like someone's going to the fucking hospital. So obviously fights are going to be far and few between depending on how it goes. But, you know, I want every fight I have to be remembered. I want, even if I have a bad night, even if I learn, which I'm not, I'm going to fucking give it my all, no matter what. I always want people to go, that was fight of the night.
Yeah.
I always want fight of the night. I always want what I do in there, that 15 minutes or few minutes, whatever it is, whatever it ends up being, to be the highlight of that fight card, fight night, whatever it is. I want people to, when they think of me, I want people to go, he's a berserker.
Yeah.
Like an old school Viking berserker coming in there to just take someone's head off. Because that's, when I'm in there, that's what I'm trying to do.
Throwback.
And it's just chaos, man.
I love it. I love hearing these stories from you guys, because obviously you guys both have a lot of experience in the ring. And I'm going to have to, when you get fight of the night in UFC, we'll have to run that clip back. He called this. He said he's fight of the night every time. We'll have to run it back one day. It's just really cool to hear your guys' perspective, right? Because for me, who's not a guy who's ever fought at the levels you guys have fought, it's always cool to hear the stories and how you guys feel in those moments and stuff, and just share it with people, because it's like Joel says, it's definitely a whole other world, even just playing around and not ever locking myself in a cage like that. Fighting's a whole different breed, and it's really cool that you guys have taken it to the levels you have, and obviously with Joel now, he'll be able to kind of dial your hands in and raise it up. I know he works with a lot of guys like Jordan Main and stuff like that, and it's really cool just to see the evolution of Joel, because I've watched a lot of fighting, I've been around it a lot, and a lot of MMA, but Joel's magical with the hands, and so I know he's going to be able to level you up a lot, because it's like me and Joel make bets sometimes. It's like, hey, if I lose this, I got to get in the ring with you. If you lose that, you got to drop it on a skateboard or something. And so far, he's lost the bets, but like one day I'm going to get my ass kicked when I have to go dance with this guy. It's just like he's on another level. It's magical watching Joel, man. It's and for you to be in there with him, it's probably fun.
Oh man, I started working with Joel before that fight, that Dumont fight, and as soon as I started hitting pads with Joel, I was like, I think it was in the first minute, I started landing on the pads, and I'm like, this is gonna be a very harmonious relationship. And like, fuck, is it ever? Like, man, my hands have never been sharper, and like now it's just growth, right? Like now it's just gonna continue to get better. Yeah. Like I already had, like, I was already a bit like, I study John Lineker a lot. I like his style. He's in one championship, he's taken out guys left, right, and center. And his style is very similar to my style, right? Like just how he throws, his mentality, and how he's in your face the entire time he's in the cage. He is just left hook, right hook until you are flat on your ass. Yeah. And like, I love that style. But Joel took that kind of style and shifted it to the side a bit. It's still there and we're still utilizing it. But now he's giving me these little fucking tools that it's chess, right? It's chess with the hands. And now it's and now that I'm actually using it in sparring and applying it and seeing it work, it's just your level it goes up so much when you have someone with Joel's fight IQ guiding your hands. It's crazy.
Thanks.
It's crazy.
Thank you. Well, it's been an honor. It's been an honor dialing it in with you, because you got such natural raw power, Nick, that the more subtle we can get your movements and your face and the shoulder rolls and all those little things, man. As it keeps coming together, you're going to be able to find your power at any moment in a fight. And if you find your power at any moment in a fight, it's a fucking wrap. Like that. That's why as soon as you threw that first right hand on me, I was like, we are going to make your jab, not your right hand. We are going to make your jab the best damn jab in MMA.
Yeah.
And the most elusive, because there you go, right? It's just set up, and bang, and it's a
It was these hands were designed for 4-ounce gloves.
Oh, you're not kidding about that.
Or bare knuckle, either or.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I got the pleasure of being able to work with Joel when he was doing his boxing course. We got a boxing course that we'll be putting on his new website there, bambamfitness.com. And I know Joel obviously works with a lot of pro athletes like yourself and a lot of people in his local community. And pretty cool to be able to bring what you're doing online, Joel. And maybe we'll have to get a training session with him up there and put it in the boxing inventory for people to watch and look back and learn stuff, because just watching Joel put that course together and he just like the little slips and angles and stuff he works on, it's like it's a masterpiece. And obviously it's again really just honored to work with Joel with 30 years of boxing experience and stuff. Really fun to put that course together and show people a lot of your different classes and workouts you offer online. It's going to be really fun to share that site with the world. Thanks,
man. Well, yeah, I gotta say, man, it's thanks to the mentors that I had through the game. I took myself to a certain level, and I found mentors and trainers that shared with me their knowledge and their things that they knew that would resonate with me. And tell you what, Nick, and why I'm always talking about it when we're training, is that aspect of relaxation and that aspect of complete and total looseness, so you're not showing any of the shots. That when I learned that, that's what really took my game to like, okay, this doesn't need to be as hard as I can make it. All I need to do is what I do best, and if I can execute what I do best, the rest of the chips will fall, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why, man. There's a lot of things that you naturally do very good on the mitts, and same thing. I could tell within a minute of that first round. Not only were you the kind of guy with the attitude that I like to see, that I come up with too, is that throwback attitude, but that sharpness in your jab and the power in your right hand. I mean, those two things, they call it 1 and 2 for a reason, man. She's gonna be fun. We're gonna have some fun, man.
Oh yeah, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good journey, man.
Can't wait to see you back in the ring.
Yeah, me too.
And speaking of back in the ring, do you have anything coming up in the near future, Nick? You got anything lined up that you're getting back in the cage anytime soon?
Yeah, I was telling Joel, we were trying to get a boxing fight up in Edmonton at the end of May, but the guy ended up saying no. He's at a different kind of point in his career, so it's understandable. I'm, same thing. He's a really nice guy, and I'm never gonna shit talk, and that's how it is. But yeah, I was disappointed because I actually he's an MMA vet, and I got really excited about the fight, and it's pure boxing, so I was like, it's gonna be fun to test just the hands. But no, that kind of fell through. So there's a bunch of cards though coming right now. There's like Unified and BTC. They got shows at the start of June and mid-June and then the May, I think. So there's a lot of opportunity coming. It's just you just got to find someone who wants to play, and that's kind of sometimes the problem.
Well, I get wonder for you too after that last fight. I mean, I know I'm watching that, and I'm like, man, keep me away from this guy. That's
the point that Tyrone makes there. Like that last fight, it might have shied away a few guys.
Which is good. I mean, that's what you want, right? You're out there doing exactly what you're meant to do. If you're scaring them away, then that's the call-ins for the big leagues, right? It just means you're leveling up faster, right?
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch. I mean, you're destined for the pros in my mind.
Yeah. And
obviously you're a pro, but you know what I mean? Like gets it for the UFC or whatever.
Yeah. The next level. Yeah. And you look at my pro debut compared to that fight, and who I am is who I was in that BTC fight. You know, like I said before, you know, with a scare and everything else, right? No one's mentally going to be there. But for me, that was actually a victory in my mind, because it tells me no matter what happens now in my life or where I'm at or whatever, I'm going to show up to fight. And, you know, as a fighter, I want to know that that guy's going to show up to fight me, because like just happened in, you know, September, and then again in February, 2 guys, you know, I dedicate, like, I fucking train 6 days a week, twice a day. I do the meals. I have a nutritionist. I put everything into this sport. I have all the recovery. I get the sponsors. I do everything. I do everything by the book. And, you know, you have this target. You have this idea in your head for 2 months. This is who I'm going to lock myself up and go to war with. And you visualize and you do all these things. To have them turn around and not show up for you, it's like, for me, it's the worst feeling on earth. And, like, you know, I tell people, like truly, it's the worst feeling. You know, I had, like, when I got those phone calls about the updates for, like, my tumor and shit, I honestly, truly believe when I don't get to fight, it's a worse feeling than that. Like, I would die to be in there. And
well, that's a telltale sign that you're meant to be doing this. And that was like, that's I think one of the reasons why there's so much peace in the fight game, is when a guy like you finds, and a guy like me, and I speak from myself and experience, whenever I was in the ring, there was something inside me that knew, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It was the most certain of anything I've ever been in my life, was the fact that when I was in a boxing ring, that was exactly where I was supposed to be, right?
Yeah. Fuck, is it scary though?
Oh man, it's a fucking roller coaster.
It's a fucking roller coaster. Oh. Everyone always asks, they're like, "Are you scared?" I'm like, "No. Of course I'm fucking scared. Like,
oh, man.
This dude's trying to kill me, and if you tell me otherwise, he's, like, not trying to kill me, you're fucking insane." The only thing stopping him from not killing me is there's a ref in there with me.
Yeah. I mean, we were just talking about that this morning at our session, but how, like, when I was in it, when I was fighting and competing, and you'd get those feelings that every fighter gets. It don't matter who you are or what you say you're feeling. You feeling this? I got to get the fuck out of here. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Right? And when you're going through it, you hate every minute of it, and then
you do
at
it.
the end of the day, 20, 30 years, 40 years down the road, those feelings is the only thing that counts. That's the only thing you keep, right? Yeah.
I think you were talking about this a couple weeks ago or something, but I remember you saying, I think you were talking to someone else, but I was in the room with you, and you were talking about the pre-fight feeling when your hair, like, sticks up on the back of your neck, right? And you're slapping yourself and you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck am I doing right before the fight, right? And you're just like, you start getting that adrenaline dump. You know, you feel your hair sticking up, you feel the sweat coming out, like, you're just like, oh, right? Yeah. But, like, you don't get that anywhere else. And, like, I've done some crazy shit, like, military wise and just life wise, and I've been through some crazy experiences. There's nothing else on earth. Like, you can get things that get you pretty fucking close, but there's nothing that will ever compare, especially for a professional fight. Amateur fights, I felt different before, but for a professional fight, when it matters, when every fight matters, when it's affecting your stats, it's affecting your future, it's affecting you going to the next level, to where you want to be, fighting the best in the world, to have your name up in the lights, like, it hits different, man. And, like, when you feel that, like, but that for me, that feeling, like, that tells me, like, I'm setting the standard already for where I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm setting that feeling. I want every fight to be so meaningful and so purposeful. Like, I have to win no matter what, you know, and that's where my shift in mentality was. Like, I found, especially with my pro debut, compared going in even to that September fight in, like, November, for me, that pro debut, I was like, fuck, this might be the last time I fight if shit goes south, right? And it was different. My mentality was different. I was seeing it different. Now it's like, fuck, there's nothing in my way. And if someone gets in my way, well, they're going to meet my right hand. And like, I'm going to have fun while I do it, because I have an idea of where I want to go. And, you know, everyone asks like, yo, you want to be in the UFC? It's like, no, I just want to be at the highest level. That, you know, there's PFL, there's Bellator, there's one championship. There's guys in those companies that would starch dudes in the UFC. It's, you know, I just want to be fighting on, you know, these big shows. I want my name up in lights, because I know how hard I've worked for it. I know the things I've gone through to deserve that. Because at any point, I could have threw in the towel during that entire fucking year. At any point, like, I'm at a fucking disadvantage already. I'm missing part of my glute. My hips have shifted. I get fucking chiro. I get physio. I do all these things because my natural alignment in my body's off. I'm already at a disadvantage. I already have to work on myself every day to actually be able to do this sport. And, you know, people don't understand that. And, you know, I fucking sit here and I bitch about that. But then you look at these guys like Jake Peacock up in Calgary. You want to talk about having no fucking excuse. That dude's missing his right arm.
Yeah.
And he's fighting on one championship. He's fighting on one of the largest shows in the world, like as big as UFC, and he's missing an arm. And he's one of the best strikers in Canada.
Unbelievable.
Don't fucking tell me you can't do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can do it. You just, they just don't make them like that anymore. Or me or him, right? Yeah. It's a rare mentality, and it's a blessing to have it. And I'm blessed, and I'm very grateful to be as strong as I am now. Yeah. But I know that it needs to pay off, and I'm willing to put in that time and that work to get there, right? So
your heart's on fire.
Dude, it fucking rages every day. Like, I can't even tell you. I wake up every day, like, even right now, the last like fucking 2 months not having anything booked and like just living in like limbo, just waiting for someone to agree to fight me. I wake up every day and I, like, without a target, I feel lost. I'm like, where am I going? What's happening? Like, I need a target, right? Yeah. So
it's crazy, Nick, like how that, and that's one thing I keep going back to this, and I'll always go back to it because my whole life has lived this way. But, you know, like that saying, your heart's on fire. It legitimately, when you want something that bad, that's what it feels like. You wake up and that shit is fucking burning, and it is pulling you towards your goal, right? And in the ring, man, like that, it's one of the beautiful things about it is you find out all those cliches are true. You find out they're all real. It ain't the size of the dog in the fight, right? Like, all that shit is true in the ring. And
you see like fucking Dumont was huge, bro. He was like as big as Jordan Amin. Like, he could be a fucking welterweight. I still, like, we squared off for that fight, man. And even like Lee's picture there, like, he posted it after the weigh-in, and I just like look at it and I look like I'm a fucking bantamweight beside him, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I have to fight that guy tomorrow. You know what I mean? And that, like, through and through, man, it's at the end of the day, we're probably the same weight in the cage there, because I blow up, but fuck, man, like, it's so true.
I mean, his frame, he had a way bigger frame than you. And, you know, fucking, when you're fighting a guy and he's skilled and talented and he's got reach
and strong,
you just know, like, okay, like, you're not taking this from me. I'm not giving this to you, but I will accept the fact that if I do what I do tonight, I'm going to hurt too. Right.
Yeah. No, I remember I got into the cage and I ran around the cage, and I got into my corner, and he walked out, and he got into the cage, and I always pace back and forth before my fights. I pace, and I just stare. I'll look at them like just like a lion stalking his prey, right? Like I just get into that. I just turn like that switch goes and your eyes just go black and you're just like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked over at him and he was looking back at me and I smiled and I just like in my head, I just told myself, I was like, you're fucking not taking this from me. Like, you're not taking this from me. You're going to fucking earn it. And I said it in my head and I hit myself in the face and I was like, let's go. And man, it was a great fight. It was so much fun.
I can fucking spar right now. That's how juiced I am talking about that. Like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets my fucking hair standing up, man.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in the back, kind of taking it all in, and I'm excited to hear. I'm like, man, it is
awesome. And when your eyes shift like that, like I did notice that about those pictures. Yours go black, mine go crazy blue. So they'll go like fucking wild blue. They used to call me the blue-eyed demon down in LA. One of my nicknames that I got down. Yeah, one of them was the blue-eyed demon. Most of them was about because I was so white, my skin color. So,
just made them pop, eh?
Yeah, they called me Moonshine.
Nice, that's a good one.
Yeah, Moonshine was the first nickname I got down there. Yeah, it's what a time, man. What a time. Yeah. So we'll continue training, Nick. Keep looking for that next one, and I mean, destiny will find it.
Yeah. The stars align, man, no matter what. And I just as cliche as it is, right? Everyone's path's already set for them, right? Things are just going to fall into place as they do. And I know that better than anyone, right? Like after the shit I've been through, the world don't care who you are. Don't give a shit about your color. Don't give a shit who you are, who you come from, where you come from, who your family is. Like if life's going to fuck you, it's going to fuck you. And if you don't know how to like deal with that, if you don't know how to like roll with a punch and keep fucking soldiering on, life's going to be a shit fucking journey. And I look at it like as soon as I get a fight, as soon as the next thing comes, it's a blessing, man. So I want the universe to obviously reward me, and I want things to just transpire for me now. But it's, some things are out of our control, right? But we just got to let it go. And fuck, man, I hope the next thing comes, because me, I'm fucking training every week. I'm in fight camp 365 days a year. Yeah. And like everyone that knows me knows that. And if you ask anyone at CMC, or if like basically that goes to the gym or knows of the gym, I live there. Anytime someone goes into the gym, I'm there. So I don't think there's any doubting that I want this,
It'll happen, man. Like I say, there hasn't been a whole bunch of times in my career where I've had somebody walk into the gym and immediately I've gone, this is going to go somewhere. When you walked into the gym when we did that first mid session, I could tell. Yeah, if you could instinctually feel that coming off of a person, then it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously been a pleasure getting to listen to you guys' story and getting to meet you and learn all about your journey. Like, it's obviously an amazing story, and can't wait to share with everybody. And hopefully one day we'll get this show to be somewhere cool, and people will be watching it. We'll have all kinds of fun with it. So we're excited
This episode right here is going to help out a lot after Nick mucks somebody in his next fight.
Well, exactly. You'll get his hands dialed in, and maybe it'll help boost the show in the future. When you say let's see where it takes us, hopefully we'll get to have him back on in the future and see where all it does take him, and where Joel takes you, and obviously where your own heart and determination take you. It's been an inspiration to listen to you and hear your journey. It's been really, really amazing, and just all the power to you for persevering and for getting in there. And then, like I said, now seeing that warrior that was in there in that BTC fight, it's like it makes so much more sense now. like just to see everything you persevered through. And when you, like, I was sitting there going like, man, is he going to win that fight? Like, it was such a tight decision. Like you said, I really didn't know who was going to get the hand raised, and to see you, you know, drop to your knees. And I could tell it was like such an emotional moment for you. And it just honored to get to hear your story and understand what you were feeling in that time. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, very cool, Nick. Thanks a lot for coming on, man, and thanks for believing in me and coming out. And I think this is gonna be a hell of a time, man. And I look forward to doing it with you.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Yeah, it'll be good. Okay, brother. Well, I guess
that's her for Ringside Banter episode 4. That is an awesome one.
Yep, sure was. Thanks for being on here with us for episode 4, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed Nick's trials and tribulations and journey through the ring. And keep an eye on Nick Felber. Watch where he's going. Don't blink, because he's going up.
And Nick, do you have any like socials or anything to plug? Anybody can go follow you and follow your journey or anything like that?
Yep, I have Instagram, so my tag is The Real Nick Fury on there. My whole...
We'll post the link in the description and everything, and set it up for people so they can go find you and check you out and watch some of your highlight clips and you get to take part in your journey. It's obviously been a crazy one to this point, and it's only just getting started, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely just getting started.
Right on. Well, no, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Okay, boys.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Look forward to seeing you in the gym, Nick.
Yeah, you too, bro.
Catch you soon, brother.
Okay, sounds good, bro.
Off camera.